This is a PvP best of 3 from the IEM Asia Server Qualifier 2, Part 2. I don't know, it's actually pretty detailed when you get into it. But the point is, these guys are looking to qualify for IEM Katowice. You might have already been spoiled as to who actually qualified, but just in the off chance you have not, I won't mention it here. Just know these two guys, I think, made it to the second round. I think Trap might have even been seeded, but I'm not sure about that. Anywho, in the top left, as the red Protoss, it is Parting. And in the bottom right, as the blue Protoss, it is Trap. Thank you very much for using a barcode. Good night, Gimblebee. Let's get some text up here. I used to have a StarCraft font installed, but I think that was on my old computer. Yeah, oh well. That still looks pretty good. Oh, it's just put it down there. There we go. That looks fine enough. Kind of looks like Trad, though. Like a bad Chad. Let's try it. Nope, still kind of looks like Trad. How about Calibri? Yeah, okay, Calibri, you went out. Anywho, it's a PvP with Parting, so I figured it'd be a lot of fun, and already we do have some things starting up. I mean, PvP is PvP. Even if you're not necessarily a cheesy player or a weird player, you have to do something along those lines in a PvP. It's just that Parting you think would actually do something extra weird, which might be what Trap is scouting for, as he sends 2 probes out, one to scout, one to actually get in the base to scout. Everything looks okay. Even the pylon timing might look okay. That actually might be the suspicious thing. Because his is already done. His second pylon's already done. And if that's actually Parting's second pylon, then isn't that kind of late? He does build... Oh, actually, that's Parting building a shield battery, so okay then. Yeah, Trap just has nothing on the way, but it's also a fake pylon, which I guess you always have to consider in PvP, is that they could put a pylon down and then not actually commit to anything, which is exactly what Parting is doing. He just wants to spook Trap into maybe not going into a Nexus that fast, or getting a shield battery or something, which it's literally happening right as we watch this game. His Nexus is delayed. His 4 stalkers could be aggressive and go out to Parting and try and delay this Nexus or get this shield battery or something along those lines. Instead, they're looking around for the pylon, and it's just the pylon. Mind games. I say Tasia in a Newkirk is epic, so a game from how long ago? Remind me what year that was? Now, Trap is pretty good at PvP. And I'm sure he's been in familiar situations where he's had to kind of over-defend earlier on and then somehow make things work. So I still got confidence in him, but I think Parting's mind game certainly worked. Parting still has to commit to a shield battery on the low ground. It's not like he gets the greediest Nexus ever, and he's not getting, I don't know how much greedy you can really get. Like a Forge first? I guess, maybe, yeah. He gets a Robo, he has to get a shield battery, but it's kind of a cool little placement he has going on here. The downside of this is that if you are pushed really early, then it's a very easy pylon to snipe. But if they're gonna kind of fall into that trick where they just look around the map all damn day long, then I guess this works out fine. Warp Prism? What? Okay, I thought the Adepts were going to scout it as well, but no, barely not scouting the Warp Prism and not scouting the Robotics Bay. You don't need a tech structure to be powered unless you're going to use it to be upgrading, which Parting is not. He just wants to get to the Disruptors. This is so funny, too, because I actually, in my own personal games, I faced someone who proxied a Robo Bay, and maybe they got inspiration from Parting. Now I'm connecting the dots, man. Oh, the Warp Prism is found, though. I don't think he saw a Warp Prism. I think he was just checking in case it was a Warp Prism. And those are map hack stalkers right there. And this is a map hack Phoenix right here. Of course, I'm just kidding. Traps above the board. It's kind of funny though, because I mean, obviously you want this to be a surprise, and like you'll probably get a push in with a big surprise disruptor shot, and that's the S tier part of the strat. But even if you get scouted, I think you can turn this into kind of a macro game. There's, you know, general reason why Protoss versus Protoss is not going disruptors anymore, and that is because once they're scouted, they're kind of quote unquote easily countered. Again, quote-unquote easily. It's still tricky to do the Stargate thing, which Trap was initially going to do, and then he cancels the Stargate and goes for additional gateways. Based off his hallucination? I mean, he didn't see a disruptor yet, but that doesn't mean that there's one out on the way. I guess he doesn't have to worry about being pushed as long as the disruptor has to come out and a warp prism has to come out. Because, of course, he killed a warp prism. But I mean, that's... Huh. Well, no, I mean, wouldn't getting gateways first actually mean that he was scared of being pushed? Maybe because he didn't see the army, actually. Maybe, yeah, maybe that's the way it goes down. He doesn't see the army, so he is scared of being pushed, so he gets gateways over Phoenix. Okay, alright. I'm gonna go with that for now. But now the warp prism, I mean, it wants to go do some damage, but it's had to wait so long that there is that option that Trap has a Stargate, which we know is true. And this hallucinated Phoenix from partying is going to see that. I mean, Trap's also getting a third Nexus, Templar Archives, +2, and Charge. It just looks to be doing so much better in a typical PvP fashion, despite having to just constantly look around, get shield batteries when he doesn't have to, change his mind, you know, midway. I mean, he's still looking quite good. Just a little down on overall supply, and of course, disruptors can quickly change a game. 15 supply, 20 supply, even 40 supply. Disruptors can take care of it. Thank you very much, 47ist, for that dono. $15. Sad I couldn't catch the dual cast this morning. TGB feels? Hope it was a good one. Thank you very much. Well, hopefully you can catch tomorrow or Sunday, as I will be casting all of the playoffs, which I'm very excited about because there's some pretty epic series coming along. It's also why I wanted to make this a little bit shorter. I want to be super overworked. I don't want to get tired of StarCraft, although that seems not to be happening anytime soon. I can actually cast StarCraft for a very long time. Playing it depends if I'm losing or not, I guess. And you guys know in the weirdest way, it's like the losing that gets you playing more StarCraft. Anyways, this game is like going down to a normal PvP. I feel like I could have just talked about nothing at all for the first 8 minutes and gotten here and been like, yeah, okay, normal stuff. Like, of course, that's really not true. There's a lot of mind games, there's a lot of tech swaps, and it still isn't completely normal because we do have 2 disruptors and some Phoenix transitioning into the mid game. But taking a big, you know, survey here, just collecting it all together, what does it all mean? Trap has +2 going to finish up with this attack. He has a pretty good basic PvP army, and he does have a higher army supply with those better upgrades, but Parting has the disruptors. But Parting doesn't have Blink, so he can't... Oh my god, oh my god! Ooh, I did not see that. Ooh, and neither did Trap. Takes some damage on his units, but also pops all the immortal shields, basically gets them dead in the first place, and my god, Parting off to the left side with that Warp Prism might have just won him this fight, because otherwise I think it was looking a little dicey. The Phoenix, of course, could have caught that. The Phoenix could have lifted the Disruptors, but they were out of position. They do choose to lift the Immortals, try to help the army fight out. It's a weird one. Lots of different scuffles, left, right, center. But it looks like Parting takes the overall lead here. Doesn't care about upgrades, still has 2 Disruptors. His Warp Prism did die, and the Phoenix are still alive here for Trap, so very important things to consider. Well, one last anyways. But, whoa, okay. Alright. Alright. I think that might have been a game over type situation if everything had gone according to Trap's plan, so really, really good that Parting had that kind of sneak over to the left side. I don't know if it was a sneak or just coincidental and he took advantage of it, but either way, good for him. Still no Forge, by the way. Now, he's probably thinking I can get to upgrades, I don't need upgrades, either or both. But they also can't get cannons in case this goes into an even longer PvP, which I guess it won't. Might be determined here and now around the ramps, which is so weird to do it around the bridges. Like, it just never will look like a normal fight. But the concave eventually goes very favorably for parting there. And disruptors are not getting their shots, but the basic PvP army fight went tremendously for parting. And there's the cry face into the tap out. GG. Well, that was a fun one, as I expected. It's a best of 3. It's certainly not over yet. Parting is using Rifkin's icon from the BTSL finals. They have this very odd bromance happening. In the bottom right, it is Parting. In the top left, it is Trap. Whoop. RIP earphone users. I should actually have a compressor and not be peaking too loudly, unlike Wardy's stream. Question if it's actually working or not, of course, is not answered. It's an AT2035, I think is the right numbers. We'll have to play around with those numbers later. But the type of mic that you use is not nearly as important as the filters you use on it, so. If anyone's like, what mic should I buy? Probably don't have to update your mic so much as just learn about audio quality stuff. Any mind games this time? Yes, indeed. There's always that threat that Parting will actually use the pylon. But his probe immediately escapes, leaves, goes scouting on its own. So, doesn't look like it'll be used. Double Stalker from Trap once again. And Stalker Sentry, as Parting does look for a Nexus. He's again going to use that tricky pylon spot. That's pretty cool. And Trap is again just scouting every which way, left, right, and center. Oh, the probe gets a very nice timing. Actually even lives. It's okay until then, but still gets all the way in there. Saw the pylon, the intention of a Nexus, saw double Stalkers. And is probably not too worried about a Stargate. It is going to be a Twilight Council, not a Robo. Robo, a very typical follow-up, defensive, macro follow-up. Not always the most macro, of course. They could do an attack with it, but still. So Twilight Council, a little bit different here. What's that going to lead into? It's such a fast Twilight Council, too. I don't think you get the avs. I was like, you don't get charged as fast, you don't get Resident Glaives as fast. It's got to be for that Dark Shrine. And it certainly is. He's got a proxy. Well, he's got a hidden pylon, but it's not in proxy. You would want one maybe closer. But he could also put his gateways there. He could have put the Dark Shrine there. As Trap will eventually have Hallucinated Phoenix. Although I think when 2 sentries pop out of this timing, they just popped out. There they are. I'm guessing you don't actually get the Hallucinated Phoenix in time. Like, it's as the Dark Shrine finishes. So a little bit weird. And only, of course, if you're, like, super fast on Hallucinated Phoenix. This is going to be pretty dangerous. Pylon on the left side. Robo is on the way. And a Forge as well. Robo a lot more important. Nothing really to be done over here. Good block by Parting with his kind of weirder wall off and the shield battery. Very safe on the natural base. Uh-oh. 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 Trap scouting, his relentless scouting, finally netting him something, so the DTs will not be warped in there, but rather down here, and of course it's a slow warp in. No Lucid Phoenix? There it is. Yeah, it actually only gets sent out as the Dark Templars are warping in. And there is a confirmation on the Dark Shrine. And he's probably already getting an Observer. He might have started an Immortal first, but then he immediately swap over to an Observer. Nope, he started an Observer first. I mean, it's very unlikely he's going to be attacked to the front with what he scouted, I guess. And otherwise, he feels confident with the army he has, so safer option certainly would have been the Observer. And now Parting is in a lot of trouble. Certainly a reason why the fast Dark Templar build doesn't really do much anymore. It's not really used. It requires a very, I think, specific set of circumstances to actually be useful. And you can try and macro out of this, but you are missing the Immortal production. You usually want at least 2. You're gonna miss the Warp Prism option, so no attempt at harassment or attack. Obviously you don't have your own Observer, but that's a little less important. And you don't have a Forge down, so he's gonna be once again behind in those upgrades. But you can try and get Archons with the DTs, which are a little less expensive on the gas. Chat God? Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's Eminem's. Yeah, that's his song. He talks about Twitch chat. I think you're right. A couple of Adepts looking to do some harassment and some scouting are denied both opportunities. I guess the only thing they really see is that there's no stupidly quick third base. There's, in fact, 5-6 gateways on the way. Templar Archives for Trap. It's going to give him access to the usual type of Archons. Charge and +1. Charge can come out a little bit later. I think that's actually a pretty good choice. And he could, of course, still chrono it if he thought he needed to. But by mimicking exactly what Parting is doing, for the most part, just Dark Templar versus Templar Archives, Trap should be totally okay to defend here. The only thing he won't have is Charge, but Charge is, you know, it's nerfed. He doesn't have that upfront damage. It's not as important. And more important is that defensive setup with the shield batteries and with your own solid amount of gateways, which he does have. He's also got 2 Immortals with Pack-a-Punch. Even against the Zealots, they'll help out. Of course, it'll be better if they hit the Archon or the Stalkers, but Parting might try and slice and dice some of these units with the Archon available. It's going to be really difficult to use his sentries for anything other than a Guardian Shield. Even Hallucination coming forward here. Trap not thinking about his own force field necessarily, just defending, using all the shield batteries. So the Archon plus shield battery combination is sick. An Observer is available for Trap. Parting tried to snipe. It didn't work out there, so there's a single DT not doing as much as you would have wanted. Immortal is starting to go down here, but shield battery still holding strong. Now they're out of juice. It looked, surprisingly okay for a second, but quickly it goes in favor of Trap. This Archon's still alive. Parting's unit did see that was Hallucination. That's kind of funny. But Parting's not going to be able to push through this. He's going to be behind in upgrades. Oh, these DTs. Oh, these DTs. Ouchie, ouchie, ouch. Observer was just a little bit too far back, rather, to see that. But when it comes forward, it kind of ends up being a waste of DTs. They are kind of pricey. Good attempt, though, from Parting. But as I said, it was going certainly in favor of Trap. And there, look at it. The army supply, significantly in favor. Upgrade difference. Now going into +2. Parting could try and go to Disruptors. Again, just kind of take away the equation of having to worry about upgrades. But, oof. War Prism gets picked off. DTs will eventually be picked off. This Trap's rest of his army comes forward here. War Prism could save the Stalkers if he needs to. Some Probe's going to go down, surprisingly. And just going to buy a little bit more time by turning it into an Archon. Not actually going to expect that to finish. Parting just all about harassment. Was also thinking about poking at the front, but definitely mistimed there. And it's like, with this many shield batteries, could you even kill any probes? I don't know about that. Parting now going to be set up for his own defense, but it's not looking so hot, guys. 1 shield battery, less supply, no Immortals, down in upgrades. That's +2 may finish. He is trying to get that done before he hits. And this is going to be a stomping from Trap. He should definitely take this fight. Unless he loses his Observer, which I'm guessing Party's going to try and look out for. But that is kind of a Hail Mary play. It doesn't start off too bad, as Trap's 2 Archons are lagging behind here. really not a bad start. Parting jumping on top of the army was the best thing he could have done. He actually does grab the observer as well, which means that Trap's gonna have to wait another 20 seconds as his observer. I think he realized, like, that's what he's probably gonna try and do. I'm gonna make more than one observer as this one pops and has to actually travel across the map. So the game not certainly over. Great thinking right there from Parting, but is it really going to be enough? Now this time the +2 will be done for an attack. His own War Prism is found out. Where's that observer? It is coming to this side of the army, so DTs are going to lose their lives. Meanwhile, this War Prism lived and is going to send back the Immortals. Or not. Not going to go for the push. Goes for a third base. And just going to try and do some harassment. Parting's still scouting around for that War Prism, though. He just doesn't have a lot of units that will kill it instantly. There's no, like, blink forward with the Stalkers. He'd have to run through this army to actually get his War Prism killed. And fortunately for Parting, Trap is paying attention. And now Trap sees an opportunity to collapse in on Parting's army. A good recall from Parting as he realizes what's going to go down here. His own War Prism. Wait, he had another War Prism? Didn't that die? How many War Prisms he had in this game? Tries to go for some harassment. Oh, seriously, I'm going to look. Okay, he lost one. I could have sworn he lost two. Alright, that's my bad. Anyways. Third nexus for both parties, but Parting still down in upgrades and now down in army supply, also being harassed by these two Immortals. It's eventually got to be GG. Now that Trap has his entire army together, just needs to get his War Prism on that side, I suppose. He's going to see that this army from Parting is trying to stop the War Prism from retreating, which is going to open up that third base. Easy cancel there. Should be a cancel anyways. There it is. As Parting tries to clear up the main base with a couple of DTs. It's a good idea, but Trap's observer comes down to the south. He does have two observers. One's back at home. So this army might have been susceptible to some DTs. Party can only afford so many. It's actually gas limited, even though DTs take a little less gas. As he's not been mining from these gas guys, he's actually going to die, and Parting, not even going to wait for the final battle, knows he's going to be losing it anyways, taps out, and goes to game number 3. Game number 3 will be on Nightshade. And there now you can see the profile pic. I think Trap's using his own profile pic, and why wouldn't you? I use mine. Well, on my main account anyways. On my casting account, I should say. Whoopsie daisy, that's definitely the wrong button. Thank you, Trap, for being in the top left again. Parting, bottom right. Occasionally, Dexter Walston. Trap versus Part. Yes. Oh my god. Wow, you just blew my mind right there. I mean, his name is Parting, but let's just go with it for a second. You're blowing my mind. Parting, I think his tricks have kind of been figured out. I think he's also... There's that weird thing that happens when, by being a cheesy player, you inevitably screw yourself over. So maybe not in the way that, like, they know exactly what cheese you're doing, because part of being a cheeser in a tournament is having a lot of different cheeses, which Parting certainly does. But that things like a hidden base or a hidden tech or hidden gateways is just so much more likely to be found, which is exactly what happened in the last game. Like, the pile wasn't found, his DTs actually get some chance to do some damage, because the Hallucinated Phoenix is only then, just then, going to see the Dark Shrine. An Observer first also may not have been the case unless it was Parting. He might have gone Immortal first, again giving the chance for the DTs to do damage. But Trap was just on guard against everything, and DT, 2-base DT is kind of the, like, it's kind of like the basic bitch of cheeses. If your opponent is decent at PvP and has good build orders and doesn't just lose his army in a stupid way by being too aggressive or something like that, then I want to say it's fairly easy to defend, even if you're not necessarily knowing about it, which Trap did it until the last second. This is pretty funny, though. So Parting once again going for the fake pylon, it looks like. He does bring his probe back, so maybe it's not fake. Oh, it's a gateway. But Trap also was doing something, now won't do it. Trap's gonna have his pylon scouted, actually, from Parting, finally. But he moved his probe away, so Parting might think that that's just a fake second pylon instead of an actual attempt at a second pylon is actually gonna be used. Well, it's not gonna be used, so he's okay, but I felt like I was unironically doing the he knows that she knows that I know conversation right there. But yeah, point is, Parting goes for the gateway. Trap does nothing and doesn't scout the gateway, despite seeing the probe. Probably just thinking either he didn't see it, or thinking it's just the, you know, the probe that's been going around placing pylons the last 2 games. So he's not too worried about it. And this is more of a mind game thing that I would like to see in the last game, but to bring out in game number 3 also makes sense. You finally use that pylon. That Trap's like, well, you're not gonna use the pylon. It's gonna be something else. You're not just gonna be that obvious. Well, he is being kind of that obvious. And this is just silly. This is just mind games on mind games, man. Well, Trap's gonna try and protect his pylon. That is still a potential supply block. You don't usually want to make other pylon when you're in these build orders. Usually it's pretty tight. Parting would be able to, I guess, but that's because he's about to warp in 3 units at a time, so that's why he's banking a little. And if he gets this pylon and does actually supply block Trap, that would be a great start to his fight. He's gonna try and get a Trap on Trap. Fight does go favorably for him, and then the Stalker comes forward. And that's gonna be it. Gonna damage this the 1 Stalker severely, takes the fight better off. Can Trap figure out that was a proxy gateway? Can he figure out that was a 3rd gateway at the very least, even if it's not necessarily proxied? I don't know. It'd be hard to tell, but just like the fact that it's a 5th Stalker kind of coming out instead of just 4 or just 6 might go ahead and give him a clue. But one shield on the high ground is on the way. The Nexus looks like it's gonna have to be canceled here, and that 2nd pylon, 3rd, 4th, whatever, the other pylon that he made to make sure he wasn't supply blocked, unfortunately does die, does supply block him, and he's forced to build more. He's probably safe on this high ground, but Parting's gambit here with the additional gateway has worked out. Now he can get a faster Nexus and a very similar timed Robo, so he's fine there. And even if you were to lose this to a, you know, eventual counter, I don't think it's gonna be the biggest deal. Adept's a very good choice. His Trap did not have any probes guarding that wall. You usually never do. It's kind of tricky because maybe you don't wall. He does now, although his units are in the way. The Adepts might not actually commit just because at the end of the day, if they commit and then you're like, oh, I got you. You're going to go to the probe line and save your probes. 1 force field does still block you out. So the Adepts are, they're scouting, they're high ground vision. They do have a chance to actually get some serious probe damage done on top of an engagement. It's wiser not to use them probably. Although, speaking of Adepts, oh, but Parting is on top of things. Very nicely done. They managed to skirt around. Looks like they did a low ground warp in. I love it. This Stalker looking for any more low ground warp ins. Also might have seen that warp prism, but looks like Trap saw it. Oh, no. Actually, it's still seen. Ooh, Gene. Trap not going to be able to find any success there. It's going to be Disruptors versus Disruptors. Disruptor on Contain is a very common follow-up. Disruptor on the container, the person who's containing you, is a bit less common. I almost see this as like a gotcha, I got there first type move. Even though you could also go into Archons. You could also go into Stargates if you anticipate this from Trap. Now, Parting is going to be it's going to be like, you know what, I'm going to do it, but I'm going to have more economy. And, ooh, it's not Disruptor, it's a Colossus. Well, Colossus break force field, but as you can see, Parting is forced to evacuate the contain. It's just an inevitability that you have to leave. So I'm still surprised with the Colossus. Colossus have tried to make a comeback in PvP. In Heart of the Swarm, they were like the only thing you built, and it was really stupid. But they're usually pretty unsuccessful. You know, any players that make them work kind of have like an all-in around them, which is kind of cool, but even then, sometimes those all-ins aren't even scouted, they're not even expected, they don't even know it's Colossus, and yet they're still held, and that just to me is like, Colossus don't look that impressive. But we'll see what Trap can do. Parting is supply blocked. He's going to use his minerals to try and build as many shield batteries as possible. Did he ever get scouting on the robotics bay? Well, heck yeah, he did. He sees it right then and there, but he doesn't see that it's going to be a Colossus. It's going to be just slightly out of his vision. But I mean, who cares? Like, he has his own army, and while he's not going to charge Archon, he's going into Disruptors, and it's like either or both, what have you. Parting's army would be, I think, better. Parting's going to be up in workers. He's still up in the army supply. Oh, no, I'm going to rewind for that. I was looking at the army supply because I was like, well, he's still up in that too, even as he loses this engagement, but look at what happens over here. This kills so many Stalkers. Oh my god, that was a good chunk of supply down. Oh man, Parting getting some really good shots in the series. But you know, even if he didn't get that amazing shot, even if he only got 1 Stalker or 2 Zealots, something like that, it'd still give him the benefit for this engagement. The Adepts are kind of weird. They might take some, like, you know, a lot of damage from the Colossus, but they can also shade behind the Colossus, force it to be super inefficient, and kill it, actually, too, because Colossus do not stand on their 4 legs very reliably. I do think that one Disruptor shot made it absolutely GG, but I was already a pessimist about this push working anyways. Trap is totally all in with this. He doesn't have his Nexus. He doesn't have any other tech on the way. He's not even getting anything else from the robotics facility. He's trying to just get as many units on the front line. Somehow bully back now what is 3 Disruptors. That's actually a really solid count. You know, when they're still at 2, like, it's possible to dodge and weave and be a pro, but 3... you're basically guaranteed to get shot at, and that is a great shot. Stalker's going down. Colossus getting injured. Second one is a little bit hasty, but yeah. He's really trying to make Parting make a mistake by doing some multi-pronged harassment. Using the Warp Prism here, trying to find little holes there with force fields as well, but it's not going to be enough. I mean, this front army has been enough, but it's actually been like a half a dozen Stalkers in the main holding that line too. And Parting just actually wants to take the engagement by now. He doesn't have a lot of things that actually force an engagement, funnily enough. He doesn't have charge, he can't reach back to force fields, and there's a Colossus anyways. And he doesn't have blink, but he would love to take the engagement just to win it already. Oh, an attempt at a split doesn't go so well. 3 Stalkers go down. And again, those Stalkers in the main, like they're not even a part of the main quote-unquote fight, and they are doing so well. Deflecting this Warp Prism, which looks like it might just finally go down here. Very, very weak. Stalker's on its tail, but just barely fast enough. And that will keep his army out of position for a second. A hot second, but not enough to do anything. Disruptor War goes favorably for Parting. I'm glad Trap finally tried to use his own Disruptor, but it was totally unsuccessful. Now he's getting another one. Maybe he thought about getting a Nexus at some point, but he definitely isn't getting a Nexus. And this gotta be the fight. He's finally forced to engage as Parting goes all out here. Good Disruptor shot. Second Disruptor shot grabs the Colossus. And that was, in fact, super easy for Parting. GG! Parting with the 2-1. Advanced on and I believe qualified for IEM. That's pretty cool. Does Disruptor on Disruptor make the double negative and then it's just Ruptor?